Wow, Lil Uzi Vert just released the Pink Tape, and this is such an interesting album to me because I feel like he really subverted the audience's expectations while at the same time meeting them. This is an album that's 26 songs long, an hour and 27 minutes, and there's so many different styles that he has on here, and it just shows that Uzi has all these different styles and can make music in all these different styles. And I guess I would say he did on this album. There is some songs that I would say, I would say actually a lot of songs that are just going back to the old Uzi and going back to what people would want. And with 26 songs on this album, it's not that much of a cohesive work, even though there are parts where I'd say it's kind of cohesive with like weird songs like Fire Alarm, Chop Suey, and Werewolf back to back to back. But there's also some like weird parts where I feel like it doesn't work as much because that Werewolf goes directly into Pluto to Mars. And then the last song, The End, featuring Baby Metal, is also just like a completely weird one. But this album, I feel like, is a great idea of just experimenting and throwing stuff at the wall because while Uzi did just go back to his old his old sounds to appease the fans, and he did throw in Zoom, which I feel like is a grail Uzi track. I mean, I remember a couple years ago when it released as a cover from a different artist and that had like 10 million plays or whatever. I don't know, it was a crazy time, but I think Uzi did a great job with this album with appeasing both sides of the fan base. I don't think this album is going to be anything near what Whole Lotta Red was in terms of experimentation because Whole Lotta Red was created solely for the experimentation of the album. This has some songs that are just thrown in for the fans' enjoyment, but I think the experimentation on this album is, pretty great. X2, the song produced by Ken Carson and Cliff Shane, I don't really know how to pronounce that, is just a great track. I love the production on that. And I feel like a lot of these songs on here are just really, really solid songs. Don't really like the Travis Scott feature on this album. I feel like it doesn't really work that well. There's also just weird interpolations with Endless Fashion having an interpolation of I'm Blue, which is also weird because that also has that new David Guetta and BB Rexa song that also interpolated and just absolutely sucked. And then there's also like Just Wanna Rock. You got the Jersey Club sound. Chop Suey is literally just interpolating and sampling Chop Suey by System of a Down, which is a weird one, but it works kind of well. I don't really know. Patience by Don Toliver is a more like slow and sexy song. And it also works. The End featuring Baby Metal is such a weird track because it's like the super rock track with these like, I don't want to say like anime vocals because it's like a Korean band, but like that's kind of what it sounds like. And I don't know, it's just so crazy the people that they have on these tracks because you have just the weirdest people on the album. Baby Metal, Don Toliver, Bring Me the Horizon, Nicki Minaj, and Travis Scott. Like some of these are just normal Uzi features, but some of them just throw them out the window. But I feel like Uzi actually kind of carries the album for a lot of it here. I mean, I think this album really isn't an album. It's kind of like a compilation of a lot of the stuff that Uzi has been listening to and working on and just stuff he wants to sound like. So I guess it is an album, but to me, it's more of a like collection of songs versus like an actual album. And I feel like that's what albums have kind of been forced into these days. But at least there is some like experimentation with new sounds and stuff with like I think Nakamura has like an interesting anime-ish sample. I don't really know if you want to call it that. Fire Alarm is just like a weird song. Chop Suey, Werewolf has those definite rock vibes. Also, the End with Baby Metal has more rock vibes. Patience with Don Toliver, again, is more of an R&B song. And I just think overall this entire album really subverts the audience's expectations because, I mean, when you like heard the new snippets from Uzi, I mean, of course you're going to hear the like X2 was a banger as a snippet, but I feel like for the majority of these songs, like the snippets that we heard were these just random ones where there was like All of the Lights. It was like a Kanye sample from All of the Lights, and it had this crazy guitar on it, and just so many of these songs just, I don't know, they just didn't feel like what I was expecting from Uzi when he released this. But he didn't really lean too much into one genre, and he just kind of threw these like different sounds and different styles he liked, and he put it onto one tape. And I feel like the Pink Tape really, fits the sound of the album because it's not like an album; it's like a tape. It's like he handpicked out these songs for you. It's like he's making this for you. He's making this for the fans. He's making this to show what he likes as in terms of music, and he's not actually trying to make an album here. He's trying to make something that he likes and he likes the sound of, and it's like he's giving you a tape because you're his girlfriend. That's basically what this is. It's just a bunch of songs he likes. It's a playlist from him, but it's of the music that influences him and inspires him to create this good music. And I feel like it really works. Of course, could anyone would have wanted a Cardi feature on this. There's no Cardi feature on this, but there was a Cardi song leaked on YouTube. I'll put that in the description. It was just shown up as the Don Toliver song, like Patience featuring Don Toliver on YouTube. I don't really know what's up with that, but either way, there is a Cardi feature somewhere, I guess. But I mean, it's not a real one. I mean, it's not like a real authorized one, but it still is cool that there was a Cardi song, Cardi and Uzi, and they're still kind of friends. And I do really like the cover on this. I don't know. I feel like this cover looks so much better than the other one it does. It's just a lot simpler, and it just shows exactly what you're getting into. There's, it's America, but it's Uzi. It's Uzi's America, and these are the sounds and influences he has, and that's just kind of what he's putting on this album. And I think while this might not be received as well as, some of the other stuff, and I feel like with 26 songs, it shouldn't be received well. There's just too much slop on here, and you didn't try to focus in on one point. But I feel like that's what makes this album actually amazing. Like, it's just Uzi being himself and not trying to cater to his fans. I mean, while I think the bonus tracks are really just catering to his fans, I mean, that's the one thing that's catering to his fans. But it's like he's doing these two things where he's, not trying to meet his fans' expectations while also throwing on stuff to meet his fans' expectations. And it's going to create, to me, a really washed out, resounding response from the fans, where I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, oh, yeah, this is a pretty cool album. While a lot of his fans are going to be like, oh, there's only a couple good songs on this. And it's like, if he went farther in one direction versus farther in a different direction, he would have gotten a more resounding or more divided opinion. But I feel like what he did was he got a nice washed out opinion with an album that's going to sell a ton of copies with 26 songs. And I feel like a lot of songs on here that are probably going to go viral on TikTok, and Just Wanna Rock, which is still ripping like 10 million streams a week. I don't know. It's just a crazy album, and I feel like Uzi did his best with this album. And while it's probably not my favorite, there's, of course, 26 songs in an hour and 30 minutes, especially with stuff that's not like super zoned into a certain type of sound. It's not gonna be for everyone. It's not really for me. I'll like a couple of these songs, but I'm not gonna like be revisiting this album all the time. Either way, though, this is a great step in the right direction for Uzi, and I hope he can focus on one of these sounds and make a real album that everyone will love.